Leo Joe sees Cobra's new weapon, H.I.S.S. Destro's a genius. H.I.S.S is unbeatable. Surprise attack!
Hey, all you action figure enthusiasts out there, JC here, and welcome to a special T&I toy review. And for today, I'm going to be taking a look at the brand new G.I. Joe classified Haslab H.I.S.S tank. So this is the mailer box that it arrives in, and we're going to be opening this up and taking a look at everything inside, both the tank and the figures. And then besides that, I'm also going to show you the new G.I. Joe classified H.I.S.S tank fire team. It's an action figure 3-pack that is being sold exclusively on Hasbro Pulse. I believe currently this is listed as sold out, though I wouldn't be surprised if at some point Hasbro doesn't make it available again. So we're going to take a look at these figures along with the H.I.S.S tank and all the figures that come with the H.I.S.S tank. So let's head over to the review studio and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so just real quick, here's a look at both the 3-pack and the H.I.S.S tank packaging. These are the boxes that both come in, and you can see they complement each other with the art style and the coloring. So even though the 3-pack is sold separately, it is definitely something kind of meant to go along with the H.I.S.S tank. Though you don't actually have to get the H.I.S.S tank in order to get the 3 extra figures, which is nice, even though you do have to pay extra for the 3 additional figures. So just some other things to note on the box for the H.I.S.S tank. So on this side, you've got Semper Fidelis Cobra Serpens. So this is kind of interesting. Cobra is borrowing from the U.S. Marines. This means it's Latin for always faithful. So I guess always faithful to Cobra. So that's kind of interesting. And then the other thing I like on this packaging is on the back of the box you get the blueprints. This is something that we used to get with the original G.I. Joe vehicles, with the that were included in the instruction sheets. But you get kind of that on the back of the box. With this one, you've got the Mars logo because that's Destro's, basically business of selling arms to Cobra. He developed the H.I.S.S tank and sold it to Cobra. So you've got that, and then you've got the Cobra H.I.S.S and everything up there. But I definitely like this. Even if I didn't keep the box, I might cut this back out and keep it as like a little poster or something. Now, besides the packaging for the H.I.S.S tank and the 3-pack, you also get individual packaging for each of the figures included with the H.I.S.S tank. So we've got the Cobra H.I.S.S gunner, we've got the Cobra H.I.S.S driver, and then we have the Cobra H.I.S.S tactician. You've got the autograph of Ron Rudat there, one of the original G.I. Joe designers. So you got that autograph. And then you've got the retro carded Cobra Commander figure, classic Cobra Commander with the Mickey Mouse symbol on his chest, also featured on the artwork. And then on the back of the boxes, you also get, again, just kind of these blueprint diagrams for the 3 regular figures. And then you get a classic file card for Cobra Commander. And there's a close-up shot of the file card if you want to pause the video and read it over. And then also real quick, here's a look at the back of the packaging for the Cobra 3-pack, which is done in the same style as the back of the packaging for the regular figures with the H.I.S.S tank. So enough with the packaging, let's take a look at the H.I.S.S itself. So first of all, you do get an instruction sheet to show you how to do things, but I don't think you'll really need that. There's some minor assembly that you got to do, but again, nothing major. You also get a decal sheet, which I am not going to mess with. You've got plenty of painted on decals on the tank that I don't think you really need to add additional, but if you're somebody who does like to do decals and stuff, then that is an option that Hasbro is included with the tank. And then also just a quick note, you will have a few extra parts once you put everything on because you have alternate side plates that go here. So these are a little bit shorter so they don't cover up as much of the treads. And they have a little bit different markings on it. I prefer this side plating, and it just pops off. Basically, you just pull it off like that, and it plugs into these holes. So again, they've given you the option if you want to kind of differentiate, especially if you get more than one tank, you can choose which plating that you want on the side. And then you also get 2 different styles of canopy that you can put on the tank. So you get this one with the red trim on it and the side panels that open. which is the canopy that I prefer, or you can get the more classic canopy, which is just a solid piece of plastic. This is pretty much how the original H.I.S. tank toy was, and you can switch it out. So again, you get two different options for your canopy display that you can switch back and forth, or again, if you get multiple tanks, you can have them look kind of different. Now, other display options you have with the H.I.S. tank, so you get the extra missile launchers on the side. This is not something that was included with the original H.I.S. tank toy, so that's a new addition. It just pops in. If you don't want to use that, then you can close this so it hides the hole that it plugs into, which is nice, and you've got that on both sides. You also have these extra side machine guns. Again, not something that was included with the original H.I.S. tank. They just plug in on the sides. So if you want some extra firepower, and again, you have that on both sides. Another cool thing that they've included that was not on the original H.I.S. tank is they've included this extra armor plate that you can attach to the front. You don't have to have that. This is more in keeping with how the original H.I.S. tank looked, with just the Cobra symbol there. But this gives your guy sitting in the gunner station extra protection so that he doesn't get shot or blown away. And this piece just hooks in there. So again, extra armor plating that was not something that you got with the original H.I.S. tank toy. Another feature that the H.I.S. tank includes that was not included with the original toy is you can open up the back here. So first of all, you've got this plate that you can have up or down. Piece out here, this step for your figures to basically ride on the back. There are no foot pegs on this though. So unfortunately, it would have been nice if they put a foot peg here and here just so your figures didn't fall off so easily. You do have a handlebar up here that your figures can kind of grab onto. But really it would have been nice if we had gotten some foot pegs. And if you want to tow something, and they've got that missile system that's coming out soon that your H.I.S. tank will be able to tow behind it, then you can pull this down. Now the original H.I.S. tank did have a tow hook on the back, so that's in keeping with that. But with this one, you can hide it if you don't want to use it, which is nice. Now, as far as getting the back door open, the best thing to do is just to pull this out and it comes open. You probably want to lift this up when you lift this down so that the back door basically acts as a ramp so that your men can basically then enter the back of the tank. Now inside here you have this seat. So it's a one-seater in the back. You can actually remove this seat if you want to. I thought it would be cool if this actually folded up so when people weren't sitting, it wasn't like blocking the way. But it doesn't fold up. But again, you can actually remove that seat. It just is on a slide. So you just got to kind of slide it up. It's a little tricky to get off, but again, it is doable. So you've got that. You've got the back here. You also have a weapons rack on this side, which again is removable if you don't want that. And I've got one weapon in the back there. And then you can see, this is where when you have the figure in the gunner station, this is where the figure's legs come down to. And then actually you can lift this entire gunner piece. You could do this on the original H.I.S. tank too, but this actually all comes out. It actually would have been kind of cool if they had given you something, if you didn't want to have the gun on the top, if you wanted to just use this as like a troop carrier. It'd actually been kind of cool if they'd given you something to put on top of this to kind of seal this up if you didn't want to have the back, the back gun on there. But nevertheless, that is technically removable, and that creates a little more space there when you take that out there in the back for your figures. It's definitely, kind of cramped if you put a lot of figures there. Now, another thing I want to note is when you open the back door, it actually activates a light inside there. You got to have your 3 AA batteries in for the lights to work, and there's additional lights besides the one inside there, which I'll show you. And I don't know how well it's really showing up, but again, there's a red light inside here that's activated when you open the back door, which is kind of cool. Now, another thing you have on this one that you didn't have on the original H.I.S. tank is you also have this cannon on the front here. I will say, at least on mine, this one is a little bit loose as far as up and down. So sometimes it has a tendency to fall down like that. Again, that might just be with mine. That's really my only minor complaint with this is this front cannon. The pivot joint there is a little bit loose. But you've got nice detailing with the paint. You've got more of a metallic silver up here on the front of the barrels. And then it gets black, and you've got the Cobra symbol on there and everything. and it does rotate, so you can move it. You can't rotate it all the, well, yeah. You can't rotate it all the way around, but it does have good rotation both to the left and the right. So again, just additional firepower for your H.I.S. tank. Another thing included on this one that is not included on the original is these side ladders. It's on both, featured on both sides. So for your guys to be able to climb into the canopy, you know, since it's so high, you got these little ladders that can pop down. You can also essentially have your figures kind of sit there on the side if you want. And here's a look at the back of the gunner station. So you get this little steering wheel that turns left and right a little bit. You don't get as much detail on the back here. Like, it would have been cool if we had some colored controls here. I think it would have looked a little bit better. But still, overall, it's pretty cool. You've got the Cobra symbol sculpted on the steering wheel there. And then again, you've got these side cannons. I don't know if these are supposed to be spotlights or hold the ammo for the guns. I think they're supposed to be essentially the ammo for the guns, but I could be wrong. They might be supposed to be spotlights. But and these guns rotate up and down, and you can turn to the front. So you can actually, they pop off easily, so just note that. But you know, you can basically kind of have these pointed towards the front if you want additional firepower in the front of the tank. Or again, you can have them pointing towards the back. So, which I think is really the main point of those. Now, of course, if you want to, you can rotate the main cannon all the way around. And also with the main cannon, you can have these elevated so they're pointing up in the air, or you can have them downward so that they're pointing down towards the ground. You had, on the original H.I.S. tank, if I remember correctly, you could do these up and down some, but they work together, whereas these you can do individually, so you can have one pointing up and one pointing down, or however you want, so you get some more mobility with your main cannon as well. And again, nice paint work here where you've got the kind of metallic silver on the end of the barrel. Then you've got the black, then you have some bronze coloring here. So just some nice texturing with the colors on the weapons as well. And here's a look on the inside of the cockpit of the H.I.S. tank. So you've got it's a one-seater. Sometimes in the cartoon you would see more than one person sitting in the front, but this is a one-seater. You've got a little joystick type control on this side. And this side you've got the, you know, that's probably like the gear shift or something, forward and back. And then you've got the controls, which do light up inside. There's a button underneath that you push to activate the lights. So you've got various lighting options with the tank. But on the inside, you basically have the red light here on the controls. Let me turn the light off so you can get a little better look there. And you've got some nice displays there on that front panel. And then you also have this, what I would call a targeting system for the cannon, I guess. Maybe for the front gun, I'm not sure, but, and that lights up red as well. And you also have some lights on the sides, so that's cool. So again, various lighting options there. And then you can just shut it off, of course, as well. Now you also get the working seat belt on the main seat here in the cockpit. And honestly, I feel like this is not something Cobra would actually think about including, because they don't really care about the safety of their men. You can see that joystick does actually move, so you can kind of pose it around, which is cool. This one, actually this does move you, so you can move this front and back as well. But you get the seatbelt, you got the Cobra symbol with the metallic silver there on the buckle. It just snaps into place. You also get the Cobra symbol on the back of the chair, which is cool. So just, again, a lot of really nice detailing, you know, inside and out on this thing. Now, if you're wondering, this is where the button is to activate the lights. And then you also have, even here, this is kind of an interesting decal. It's a warning. It's, again, not something I really think that Cobra would include, but, you know, just, again, nice extra detail. The treads are rubber, and the treads do work, and I'll show you that in a minute. The batteries, the three AA batteries go in here. So if your lights start to burn out, you'll have to replace those. And the batteries are not included with the tank. But again, just really nice detailing overall. One thing to note, this is a spotlight, Cobra spotlight. So it is upside down on the tank. That way it shows up, you know, it shows the right direction when it's actually shining down on the ground. And I'll show you that in a second. But it is supposed to be upside down on the tank. And then as far as the lights go on the front, you get the headlights, you get this grill light. If you don't want the headlights on, and there's the floodlights, so you get that extra as well. Then you can turn off the spotlight Cobra symbol. You can turn off the headlights. You can turn off the floodlights, so you just have the grill lights there on the front. So again, a lot of various light options that you get with this. And then on the back of the tank, you also get, I guess, brake lights here, as well as the light inside the tank. So again, just kind of cool. These will shut off in just a minute. So the lights won't stay on permanently. You know, they are battery powered, so they do shut off after a minute or so. And just so you can see it, there's a look at the Cobra symbol on the ground, again, facing the correct direction. You know, if you've got people in front of you, you want to scare them with the big Cobra symbol that comes from that spotlight. Now, the treads, as I mentioned before, do work, and they work pretty good, a lot better than like if you have Super 7's Thunder tank. Those treads did not work very well, but the treads on this H.I.S.S tank do work nice. So again, the treads themselves are made with a rubber material, and again, they do roll pretty good. And one other thing I forgot to mention earlier, this front cannon is removable, so if you don't want it on your tank, you have the ability just to take it off. And just like with the side missile launchers, basically it kind of hides the hole if you don't have it attached, but it just plugs right in if you want to include that or not. But again, if you don't like that front cannon, or if yours is kind of loose like mine is, then you might not want it on there. So again, it's really how you prefer to display your tank. Now, one final thing when it comes to the weapons of the tank I want to talk about here is all the weapons have little holes and stuff, so you can attach blast effects to the front of the barrels and stuff, whether it's the large cannon, the smaller back cannons, or this front one. There, however, are not blast effects that were included with the tank. So if you end up getting the Fire Team 3-pack, there are some blast effects that work in some places on the H.I.S.S tank. So for instance, you get these, what I would call missile firing effects. These will fit in the back of these missiles. You get 2 of those with the Fire Team. So you get one that's longer and one that is shorter. So you don't have enough for all your missiles to fire at the same time. But again, if you want some type of effect so it looks like your missiles are about to fire, you do have that with the Fire Team, you know, the Fire Team 3-pack. Also with these Gatling type guns, you have the holes. So there are various little teeny blast effects that are included with the Fire Team that you can attach to that. So you can see just that single one here, or you also have this one. So you can attach that piece like that, and then you can put this on the gun as well. So it looks like your little cannons are firing. You also get a smoke effect piece that you can put in there, so it looks like your cannon has just fired and is now smoking. Now, as far as the main top cannon here, the best thing I found to work with these are these blast effects that were included with the Haslab G.I. Joe Sky Striker for the 3 3/4 inch line. So we got a bunch of blast effects with that one, and these particular ones I think work well for the front cannon, you know, the top cannon of the H.I.S.S tank. So if you want it to look like it's firing, you can use those. I have not found anything that works well for this front cannon here. So I'm sure there's some stuff out there, but right now I haven't found anything good for that one. But again, if all the weapons have the ability to put effect, you know, firing effect pieces on them, and if you get the Fire Team 3-pack, you've got some that will work on the H.I.S.S tank. And if you got that G.I. Joe Haslab Sky Striker, you've got something for your top cannon as well. Now for your basic measurements on this thing, I'm going to say this thing, the H.I.S.S tank is roughly about 19 inches in length, and height wise, if you count the top cannon, you know, these guns, it's roughly about a little over 11 inches in height. I think it's got a good size to it. I don't think it's too big. I don't think it's too small. I think actually size wise for 6-inch scale figures, these actually work really well. This tank actually works really well. And here's a Crimson Guard figure next to it just for a comparison. And then also the H.I.S.S tank driver, which is the only figure the original H.I.S.S tank toy came with This one, obviously, you get the extra figures, but the original H.I.S. tank toy that Hasbro did come with the H.I.S. tank driver like this. Okay, so here's a look at the main figures. I haven't opened the Cobra Commander. I'm not going to, so and I'm not really going to do an in-depth review of the figures here because, you know, the fire team figures are all figures that we've already gotten in the line. The figures have been repainted to match the tank. You also get some extra details like here on the helmet for the officer. You get the 7, which is kind of cool. I like that. Weapons and everything, though, are all weapons that we've gotten with the previous figures, the previous versions of these figures. So again, I'm not going to really spend time. As far as the 3 figures, besides not counting the Cobra Commander, but the tactician here, the gunner, and the driver, again, they're very similar figures. The gunner is a female, essentially a female version, so it's on a female body of the H.I.S. tank driver, but otherwise it's almost identical. You get this little wrist piece, which the driver has as well. You get the pistol, same type of chest plate and everything. So again, very similar figure, just that they gave us a female version, essentially, of the H.I.S. tank driver. And then the tactician, again, very similar figure. I do like the chest plate on the tactician is different from the driver and the gunner, so I like that. You get these weapons that come with these guys with the bayonets, which is kind of interesting. Have the removable magazine, so you got that feature. You also get, like with the driver, or not the driver, but the gunner, you get a shovel and an axe. So, and those can go in the back in the weapons rack. So you get some extra things besides just guns. One of them also comes with this kind of rifle, and this is like the rifle that comes with the driver. So similar to the tactician, but doesn't have the extra red on it. So again, the figures are nice. My only minor complaint with the figures, honestly, is like especially on the driver, the legs. Let me pull him out. So here where they go into the waist section, you know, they kind of pull down, which is, you know, to get him in a better seated type position. But it does make the legs a little bit on the loose side. So nothing major there, but again, here where they attach up in the crotch section, the legs are a little bit loose, at least on my driver. But still, he looks good, very reminiscent of the original H.I.S. tank driver that came with the original H.I.S. tank, the blue chest plate with the silver and everything. Head sculpt is dead on to the original figure. Just like with the gunner, you get this little extra wrist piece. So you get the holster for a pistol. But like I say, that's, as far as the legs being a little bit loose, that's really my only complaint with the figures. Now one other quick thing I want to note, I mentioned earlier how you could fit like maybe 3 or 4 figures in the back. That's actually not super accurate, and the main reason is because the figures are actually taller than most of the inside of the tank. This area where if you take the gun out so that this red thing isn't sticking down, you've got more room to stand a figure up straight up. But otherwise, you're either going to have to sit the figure in the back seat, or you're going to have the figure's crotch a bit, because again, they're just taller than most of the inside of the tank here. So that's just something to note, that probably maybe, you know, like I said, if you took this gunner seat out so this red piece wasn't there, that's where I think it would be cool if they gave us like a top piece that you could seal up the hatch up there. But, you know, if you want to like transport troops, you know, like I said, you could probably get 2 and then 1 seating, something like that. Or if you want to try and make them crotch, you could do that as well. And then just to show you, you can kind of just sit them in like that. And real quick, here's a look at the H.I.S. tank driver inside the cockpit with the lights on. So you get some pretty cool effects there. And then a better look with the lights on, so you can see, you know, the figure fits in nicely in the chair, and he grabs both controls. So no problem with that. So definitely, yeah, the figure works good inside the tank there. So that's it for my review or overview, whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, I love this vehicle. It's my favorite G.I. Joe classified item of the year. I think Hasbro just knocked it out of the park. It cost $300, and I think it was worth every penny. The figures are nice. but just the detailing on the tank, the features, it's a great representation of the original toy, plus all the additional add-ons and everything. Plus, I like the fact that they're doing extra stuff that you can buy separately, like the mobile missile system and the Fireteam 3-pack. So again, a great addition to anyone's G.I. Joe collection. If you did not back the Haslab, then unfortunately you will have to go to the secondary market. And now it looks like it's going to cost you at least somewhere in the neighborhood of $600. Unless Hasbro decides to reissue it in some way or form down the road, but I wouldn't hold my breath on that. But again, I think the Haslab HISS tank is fantastic and possibly the best Haslab item that they've done to date, at least the ones that I have dealt with. And there's some cool ones, the Sentinel, the Galactus, Unicron. Hasbro's done some pretty cool stuff through the Haslab, but this HISS tank is definitely up there at the top and hands down best vehicle of 2023. Just no doubt in my mind. So I'd love to hear your own thoughts down in the comments section. And as always, if you're new to the channel, please think about subscribing and hitting the bell notification so you're alerted every time I upload a new video. As always, guys, stay safe out there, and until next time, I'll catch you later.
Hey, thanks for watching today's video, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification so you're alerted every time I upload a new video. And be sure to head over to the Toy News International and Marvelous News Message Boards communities. It's a great place to talk toys and win cool contests like $100 store credits to Big Bad Toy Store. And remember, action figures are great.